I'm your instructor, Gary Barrett, and in this session, we'll be talking about common sized income statements. Income statements are the only ones that can do this, and what that means is we're comparing the revenue to each of the other listed accounts in the income statement. I'm pointing here to session 4. That's where we're going to be talking about it, and you'll be able to view this video at session 4. Well, let me show you what I did over here. I took an income statement, and this was in our prior sessions involving the company called Intel Corporation. And I created an income statement from the data gotten from either finance.yahoo.com or from nasdaq.com. And I listed that data here. And on the right side, I listed the comparative company. That is a company that competes directly with Intel, and that's called IBM. And in each one of these, I got the data from the web in the two locations that I've described earlier. Notice that in these two statements, I've done side by sides, they're a little bit different in that IBM has a little bit of interest expense here, whereas Intel does not. And apparently there's some interest expense from either purchasing another company or they borrowed some money. And for that, they have a smaller net income because they have some interest expense and they have some income taxes that they have to pay. A little bit smaller, but revenue is comparable, is similar, 62 million here versus 79 million here. Well, let's take a look at some of the other issues here. We have cost of revenue, and we have research and development and some sales and administrative. But you know what's really problematic is just looking at these numbers here. We get lost in the weeds. So another way to compare two income statements is by percentage. And what I do is I start out at looking at revenue as 100%. In each case, I have 100%. Now, before I go much farther, I want to make sure that this column is formatted, and I'll go over here to format cells, and it's formatted as a percentage with 1 decimal point to the right. That's just the way we do. That's the way we format these percentages for common sized income statements. So let's click OK, and I did that for both statements. And what I did here, and I'll show you how I did this. Let's delete, for example, this particular under cost of revenue, and I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to take the number here, whichever number I'm looking at, and I'm going to divide it by total revenue, and I'm going to set return. And I did that with each one of these. Notice that it's that particular account name or title and the number there divided by total revenue for each one of these. And I did that over here as well. And so you notice that each number represents a percentage of total revenue. So if you add these percentages up, you'll come up to 100% down here at the bottom. So let's take a look at now the comparison. So we have cost of revenue at 37.7%. That's the cost, the actual direct cost to gaining that revenue. And we have only 37% cost here, direct cost, versus 54.2% over here. And you can see what the numbers are. Gross profit as a percent of revenue, only 45.8% here and 62.3% here. So we can see right along, and if we go down to, let's say, research and development, for example, IBM only spends 7.3% of revenue or the percentage of revenue for their research and development, whereas Intel is 20.9, almost 21% for research. And so then we can go down to the bottom line right down here on net income, and we can see that net income as a percent of revenue is 15.3% of revenue, almost double that of IBM at 7.3%. So this is a great way to do an analysis between the two competing companies. What I can do now is I can do a cut and paste, and what I did is I did an up and down cut and paste. I did my common size for Intel up on top, and I did the IBM down below in my appendix of my white paper. And from here, we can then go up into the white paper itself and describe what I just did, the differences in percentages for each account, for each company, and kind of talk through a little bit about why you think that's the case.